What is going on, ladies and gents? It's Matt from Liquid Loans. Happy Sunday. I hope everyone is having or has had a good weekend so far. In this video, I'm joined by the Galaxy Brain, Jesse the Pit Boss. We're going to be talking about DeFi, the awesomeness of it, how it compares to legacy finance, liquid loans, pulse chain, all that good stuff. So with no further ado, let me bring up the one and only himself.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Jesse. How are you doing today?
Good. It's a nice Sunday here. I hope everyone remembered to move their clocks.
Yes, exactly. Sorry, I think I rugged Jesse earlier on timing because obviously we're a few hours apart. Well, more than a few hours. We're on opposite sides of the pond, and need to set the clocks properly. So going forward, everything will be on point. But we're into the final furlong, right, of the sacrifice phase.
Yeah, we've got 1 week left. 1 week for this opportunity. This opportunity to be early and sacrifice for your beliefs in a better stablecoin system. So the clock's ticking, and losing an hour didn't help that. So now you have even one less hour than you thought you had.
Yeah. One less hour to get into a project very, very early. And as we touched on in our last live stream, yes, let's not beat around the bush. You've missed the first 10 days, but there's still ways, even though the clock's ticking and we've missed an hour from the time difference, there's still ways to claw back any lost points due to locking up your points for a certain amount of time, up to 24 months, from 1 month to 24 months. And also, let's not forget, anyone who got into any good project early, like Ethereum, like Hex, like Bitcoin, still did very well as long as they had diamond hands and they held and all this good stuff. So if you're watching this stream, if you've been following the journey of Pulse Chain, the growth of the ecosystem, the liquid loans journey, then you're still very, very early. And it's not too late. So
yeah, you mentioned diamond hands. I actually think having diamond hands with the loan token is going to be quite easy because you just don't have to sell it. You literally will be earning USDL and Pulse by staking that, and you don't have to sell the token. It's really easy to hold on to a token forever when there's just no reason to sell it. It's your passive income generator.
Yeah, why, like you said before, why you want to sell the golden goose, right? It's not just about price appreciation anymore. You have an asset that you don't have to maintain. It's not a property. You don't have tenants. You don't have to do anything on it apart from parking it into the staking pool. And then whenever anyone uses the system, you collect a portion of those fees depending on your size. So even though the value may increase, because of course, who wouldn't want a token where you can collect fees from the system? The actual loan token is a staking token. It's not a trading token. So I'm not sure many people are going to be buying and selling these, because once you've got your hands on them, it's kind of like a timeless t-shirt. So it's going to be very, very interesting. And that's why DeFi 2.0 is so exciting, because there's so many different ways. And especially once we come onto Pulse Chain, like I think you talked about this before, Jesse, you can go in there once a day, once a week, or multiple times a day, right? And collect your fees. And the gas fees are going to be so cheap. It's not going to be like Ethereum at all. You're not going to be paying even dollars per gas fee, right? It's going to be pennies.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think there's going to be certain people who are glued to their computer or their phone or their device or whatever, because they're going to be so anxious to hit that claim button.
Yeah.
And have that USDL and Pulse show up liquid in their wallet so they can run off and go buy the things they like, Hex or more loan token or more Pulse or whatever. That's just the one downside. People are going to be so anxious to hit that claim button multiple times a day. But it's also important to know that the more frequently that you compound, or the faster you put your money to work for you, the faster you can grow your bags, right? So if you had a claimable balance that just kept going up and you just ignored it for a month, Well, that's like a month of just like USDL sitting there doing nothing. Right. So like I said, people are going to be glued to their device or their computer, and they're just going to be hitting that claim button every 10 minutes. I do hear there's some community members who are going to be building an auto compounding feature, which will be cool. And because the code is going to be available, like there's going to be SDK packages available for front end developers to build their own front ends. Like I think you're going to see a lot of stuff like that. Auto compounding where you don't have to be glued to your device.
Yeah, that's the one thing about crypto, right? Obviously, we love it that it's decentralized, a lot of it, and that you are your own bank. But one of the downsides is you can become glued to charts or looking at your wallet or, checking your phone every 5 minutes. So something like that would be good where it auto compounds, and then maybe you can go in there, once a day or a few times a week. You definitely want to be making gains and collecting that passive income, but not becoming addicted to your phone, because obviously that's not too healthy either. But it's going to be nice not to have, I know gas fees have come down a lot on Ethereum lately, but it's still you're still talking multiple dollars, right? $5, $7, $10.
Yeah, I did a swap yesterday for like $8. Like that's the lowest I've ever seen it.
$8. Yeah, I think I had a swap about $12 not long ago, and it's weird because that's still going to be super expensive compared to PulseChain,
Right?
But it still feels so much better because at the height of the bull market, you'd be lucky if you got $80, right, for a swap on Uniswap or something like that.
Exactly.
So it is really exciting when you have all these things. Obviously, there's PulseX, obviously PulseChain, and how you can use liquid loans. There's Hedron. There's all these things being built, and just having faster, cheaper, more efficient, a more efficient blockchain, and being able to do stuff literally within a couple of seconds, and it costing pennies. Obviously, Ethereum was meant to be like that, but why do you think it was? Do you think it's mainly the NFTs that have completely hampered Ethereum?
I think it's just a combination of NFTs, and I mean there's like 40,000 or 50,000 different tokens that everyone's trying to play around with and move around and swap, and that's just like regular tokens. Then when you start adding the NFTs, we're probably in like hundreds of thousands of like different things people are swapping, so it's just congested. Starting a new, having a new blockchain like PulseChain that launches and is faster to begin with, has more throughput. That certainly helps. And we hope to someday see the same volume. And there's no guarantee that the prices will stay low on PulseChain. Right? I think a lot of these things have like a shelf life. They start out cheap. They start out fairly empty, and then as more and more people start using it, they all start to get clogged up to the point where they become like almost unusable, and then you have to launch a new blockchain. It's like it's got like a shelf life.
It's true. I mean, look at BSC, right? BSC came out, was it 2020? And it started like fractions of a penny, right? Now it's like 13 cents to 15 cents, I think, for a swap on PancakeSwap, or, to send one of their tokens. So a BEP20 token, that's it. So yeah, I mean, it will, like you said, it has got a shelf life. But if you're watching this stream now, if you sacrifice for PulseChain or PulseX, if you sacrifice for liquid loans, if you haven't sacrificed for liquid loans, I mean, you're very, very early. And a lot of people are going to be finding out about not only PulseChain, but liquid loans and everything a lot later than you guys are. So we're all very early, which is very, very exciting.
Yeah, we have like 10, maybe 11,000 people that have sacrificed for liquid loans. I mean, there's some pools out there, and there's like family members and stuff that all sacrifice together. So like individual users, we're probably up around like 11 or 12,000 people. Now, that's with like just organic growth. That's just word of mouth. That's just us streaming. Imagine later when Pulse Chain goes live and there's like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people flooding into Pulse Chain. Imagine when we're marketing, all over the World Wide Web. Like the growth after this initial phase here, the sacrifice phase, it's going to be insane. It's going to be absolutely insane. We already have more than 10 times the user base of our parent protocol, Liquidity. And that's just the beginning. Imagine when we have 100 or 1,000 times the user base as our parent protocol, Liquidity. The sky really is like, there is no limit. There is no limit to what this protocol can do or to what Pulse Chain can do.
Absolutely. Like you said, 11,000 people, give or take, depending, obviously there's been some pools and stuff, but let's say 11,000 is a nice round number, have sacrificed for liquid loans, which is amazing, right? It's mind-blowing. That being said, how many people hold crypto in the world? Millions, right? So it's a fraction of the actual amount of people that are in crypto. And of course, new people are coming in every day because of stuff like inflation and legacy finance, not giving people the best deal, corruption, centralization. So not only is a fraction of crypto know about Pulse Chain, even smaller fraction of sacrifice for liquid loans. And of course, you have so much more people to come into the whole ecosystem. So yeah, we really are the pioneers here. And it's just going to be insane when, Pulse Chain goes live, people want to get into the system. Who knows what can happen to that loan token as well? We never give price predictions, but anything's possible. So getting in early to any project is always a good thing.
Yeah, in crypto's still really early, even though, Bitcoin may be over a decade old, like crypto and the idea of like the general masses using crypto, it's still early for a lot of people. There's a lot of innovation left for crypto, and people can argue this topic, but there's a lot of other uses for NFTs, such as like proof of ownership of various things. I envision a day, for example, when proof of ownership, such as a title for a car or like a deed for a house or something, is forged on the blockchain, and you can prove ownership of your expensive items with something that's, like an NFT type document that's in your wallet. Now, that's just the tip of the iceberg, and there are projects that are already doing this. But then when you start tying that into like insurance, and how if you had some sort of claim, they can just burn that right out of your wallet and then issue you, an insurance payment straight to your wallet, instantly or near instantly after some reviews. Like this is the direction that eventually crypto will end up, because it simply makes sense to do things faster, to do things, on a permanent ledger such as a blockchain where everybody can verify and ensure its accuracy. And
absolutely.
So like the outdated systems of standing in line and doing everything on paperwork, eventually I think will like fall away, and you'll have these digital records that everyone keeps for their property and for insurance claims and all sorts of things. So DeFi really is like leading the way in some of that stuff, because now you have a way that people can take loans against their assets right there on the blockchain. So like liquid loans, how fast does it how long does it take to obtain a loan, to mint your own loan? It takes maybe 10 seconds to put in some Pulse, set your collateral ratio, mint yourself some stablecoin. Now you have a loan. Now you can go do whatever you want with that. Maybe it takes 10 seconds. Maybe if you're slow and you like read through everything and pull out your calculator first, maybe 60 seconds to 120 seconds. Now compare that to a bank. If you want to go collateralize one of your existing assets and get a loan from a bank, I mean, it takes minimum, hours, but usually days, if not months. Like if you're talking like a home loan, good luck. Like it's going to take you minimum 30 days. So blockchain changes that. Liquid loans changes that. DeFi in general changes all that. So we're at the tip of the spear for changing how people conduct finance.
Yeah, mirroring the legacy financial system onto the blockchain is just mind-blowing, and that's why DeFi is so exciting. Like you said, going to get a loan, you've got to go within the bank hours, right? 9 to 5 and weekdays only. If you get you've got to get approved for it. If they turn you down, that could affect your credit rating and your credit score too. Then you've got, a fixed, unflexible repayment schedule, high interest. If you miss any repayment, that could affect your credit score. There could be charges to pay. Liquid loans, the complete opposite. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what race, religion, gender, what country you live in, what your background is, how much you earn. As long as you have enough pulse in your wallet to collateralize a loan and you choose the collateralization ratio, you're okay. So it's very exciting. Just answer this question quickly. Liquid loans will have their own front end at liquidloans.io, and then anyone can build their own front end as well. So
Danny Boy says he disagrees because Richard Hart says blockchain is the world's slowest and most expensive database, only good for censorship resistance. Well, we don't all have to agree, because the thing about databases and even blockchains is like the speed that we have now is nothing compared to the speed of what blockchains will be 10 years from now or 20 years from now. Like everything the internet gets faster. Remember when you remember the day, maybe you don't remember the days of dial-up.
I do.
Right. But it was miserable. And at that point in time, everyone thought, oh, this is just so slow. Well, at first they thought it was fast. They're like, oh, this is great. We can browse the internet and we can get data.
The noise it used to make.
And I mean, it took minutes to log into the internet to connect in. And then it got better. And then it got even better. And it got better. So the same holds true for blockchain. Like 10 years from now, blockchain and these validators validating transactions will just be so blazingly fast. Like it'll be insane.
Yeah, things are always progressing. And look, Bitcoin was the first blockchain, right? And let's be honest, yes, Bitcoin's still the most expensive token around, but come on, there's no smart contracts on there. You can't build on anything. So Ethereum came along, and then people have forked that. And this is life, things progress, things get faster, cheaper as things go along. Look at the first cars that came out of Michigan, in the 1920s or whatever. And now look at Tesla, so things are going to keep progressing. Richard Hart's on the forefront of that, pushing Pulse Chain ahead. And it's not going to stop. So as long as we don't if everyone stops building and we just stop where we are, of course, and things aren't looking good. But as long as people keep building and we keep pushing the limits, then blockchain becomes faster, more secure. We're going to have privacy on there. We already do have privacy, with privacy tokens and stuff. So things are always moving forwards. Will anyone be able to restake past the initial 24 months? If so, do you have a 555 limit time to restake similar to Hex? I think this guy's got a bit confused with a lockup and staking.
Yeah. So a lockup is trading off the ability to stake. You're giving up the ability to stake for a larger quantity of points, right? So you're not staked while you're locked up. When your lockup period ends, you'll have 2.5 times the token quantity that you would have otherwise had if you had come out on day one. When those unlock, now you can stake them. Now you just have a big bag of tokens. You can go stake those at that point in time. There's no additional lockup after that period. When that period ends, those tokens are yours, liquid, for you to do whatever you want, such as stake them.
Absolutely. I mean, there's another This guy's talking about Fantom. That's another blockchain that's quite fast. So, you know, obviously Rich is pushing Pulse Chain forward, but everyone else, other people are building stuff as well. And obviously, the more we build and the more we learn, right, and the faster and better things get. So it's looking good. It's looking good. BSV is fast 20 years now. It's also the only one that's scalable, but the same BTC people that ostracize you won't want to know that. Yeah, well, of course, not everyone's going to jump on the same bandwagon. People are going to protect their bags, aren't they? People that hold big amounts of Bitcoin or any other blockchain are going to protect their bags and call everything else a scam. I mean, I think there's still Bitcoiners that call Ethereum a scam, right? Can you believe it? So what are you going to do? Here's a good one, Jesse, that we get often. How will we convert USDL to fiat?
Okay, so there should be a number of ways. After there's a fiat off ramp, that'll be the easiest way. You'll end up sending your USDL straight to a fiat off ramp. There'll be a service that literally just swaps that into fiat for you and sends fiat straight to your bank account. Okay, that's not going to be on day one of the protocol. So on day one, you'll have to do what you do with any other token. You go to PulseX and you swap it for the thing that you want. So if you have some USDL and maybe you want some Pulse, you just go swap it for Pulse. Maybe you have to go through a bridge with that Pulse, swap it for ETH, send that ETH to Coinbase, cash out to your bank account. Just like you would have to do with Hex or with Chainlink or with any other token on the blockchain. Just swap it out for something that you know you'll be able to get back to your bank account or to Coinbase.
I mean, we're in crypto, and at the moment, unless you're very, very lucky, you know, most of the time there's going to be a swapping game to get out into fiat. And like you said, Jesse, of course, you have to use the bridge at first, but at some point there will be on and off ramps for fiat. And then, as this guy says, it's goodbye Bitcoin and ETH, because you don't need to bridge across then. It's just direct straight to the exchange. So
right,
that will be exciting. But first off, we need Pulse Chain. So let's get that up first.
It's always 2 more weeks.
It's always 2 more weeks, right? 2 more weeks to flatten the curve. The token we delayed for 24 months is called the loan token, not USDL. Am I correct?
That's correct. Because USDL comes into existence when you collateralize some Pulse and you mint some USDL. You create it yourself. So the token that exists will be the loan token, right? That's the staking token.
Hot Sources Lethal says stablecoin pairs will be created on PulseX, such as USDT, USDL, USDC, USDL. DAI. Yeah, I mean, whoever wants to provide liquidity, yeah, they can do that.
Yeah, I think day one of Pulse Chain, I think you're going to end up seeing some people bridge like USDC and DAI into Pulse Chain and start pairing things to bridged in stable coins, which is probably important because the copies, you know, it's going to be hard for those to maintain any sort of value. There's all sorts of ideas of like taking a copy and pairing it to a bridged in, and maybe it can retain value, but like think logically here. When somebody does that, imagine the guy who's got a bunch of free copies who's just going to come and dump his free copies for the thing you just bridged in, right? Which so it's almost essential that some stables get bridged in and paired to the, you know, important tokens on the chain, such as Hex and Pulse and so on and so forth. So because some of those will already exist, you'll also find USDL paired to a bunch of those things.
So when do you think, Jesse, how long do you think it will be before the bridge is up? Because at first it'll be a walled garden, right? So,
well, that's an interesting question, like, because then it comes down to which one. Like if you're talking about Richard Hart's bridge, like we've heard 2 or 3 days, but people are delusional if they think that's the only bridge. There's already other projects that are building bridges and will have them ready on day one, going to other blockchains such as Avalanche and Fantom Chain and Binance Smart Chain and so on and so forth. So when will a bridge be available? maybe immediately. We'll see.
Let's see. Your Boteng asks, do you see a time when you can use other crypto as collateral rather than Pulse, for example, Hex?
I do see the potential there. And like if we wanted to do Hex, we could do it right now. And we could have it ready within a day or two, right? Because the infrastructure is already there on Ethereum. You've already got Uniswap, you've already, like everything's, the blockchain already exists. You know what I mean? The question becomes, is it the right thing to do for the community? Because like what about liquidation points? When you have an asset that regularly does 70 or 80% dips all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's on its like 7th or 8th time of doing like an 80% dip or something. Like that's 8 times. A whole bunch of people would have probably been liquidated. Do we really want that to happen to all the borrowers? Probably not. And without having like nearly 100% of all the Hex holders, using liquid loans for Hex, those dips are still going to happen, and they're still going to liquidate a whole bunch of people. Low liquidity causes major volatility. What's interesting about Pulse and doing this with Pulse is it's not low liquidity. It's the most liquid asset on the entire Pulse chain. It's paired to everything. Like literally every single token out there is likely paired to Pulse. So it's not low liquidity at all. But then if you wanted to do the same thing with Hex, which has like a couple token pairings and low liquidity and the price is super, super volatile, like you're just exposing everyone to a bunch of risks that maybe you don't want to. So could we do it? Yes. Should we do it? Maybe. It would help price performance. But you've got to have like everybody using it if you want it to work properly and not liquidate everyone.
And that's why, people question in Liquidity or any other thing, why are they using the foundation currency of the blockchain? Because that's more stable than other tokens. And of course, ETH moves up and down and Pulse will move up and down, but it will be, well, if anything goes by past performance, be more stable than a token that sits on top of that. Woohoo, this is going to be TNT. Yep, it's going to be fun. Hex Hoarder says, can you talk about developing of the Oracle that will point to prices and how that will be done?
Yeah. So so there's different types of oracles. You've got decentralized oracles like API 3, Teller, Chainlink. Okay. Those don't exist yet. We have been in talks with them, but they want to see a developed blockchain before they decide to come over. They're hesitant to come over to Pulse Chain. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush here. They don't necessarily want to come over to Pulse Chain, even though every single other blockchain they have raced to go over and launch on. For whatever reason, they're hesitant to come over to Pulse Chain. Okay. That being said, time-weighted averages and price feeds pulled right from PulseX and Uniswap are very, very effective. And Richard even talks about this all the time. How he believes that the best oracle is like where the tokens are traded at, Uniswap. Like just get the price feed directly from Uniswap. So that is or will be the primary oracles. PulseX, some pairings that we choose. Uniswap, some pairings that we choose. Time-weighted averages, but with a future coded in decentralized oracle that will be coming over to Pulse Chain, ready and in the code, ready to pull from them.
There you go. Omega says, is price for liquidations calculated at the end of the day? No, it's if your collateral dips below 110%, then you're up for liquidation. It's not done at a time frame. So if anyone's vault is under 110% collateralized, then someone else can go in there and manually press the button and liquidate that. So it's not done at a certain time of the day. So if you want to hold on to your pulse safely over collateralized, 300%, 400%, 500%, 1,000%, 10,000%. Buffo on the beat asks, does the Liquid Loans team have any access to the ability to mint USDL out of thin air in the background, or is the only way to create mint and all USDL was when someone locks up Pulse in a vault?
There is, okay. At the very, very beginning of the protocol, there will be a small quantity of USDL that is minted out of thin air, applied as liquidity, paired to Pulse, paired to Hex, put into a liquidity pool, no access. The team has no access to it. And by small quantity, I mean like 10,000. Okay. Lock liquidity that was literally minted out of thin air. Okay. The ability to mint any more USDL after that point, there is the only way to create any more after that is to collateralize Pulse, put Pulse into a vault and mint stablecoin off of the value of that Pulse. But when you launch the protocol, you want to have, and you kind of need to have the liquidity pools established right from the beginning. So there is a small quantity that exists right at the beginning. I hope that answers your question.
Cameron seems pretty bullish on this. And this actually, this guy seems like he's been in crypto for a while and he's quite bullish on that. And he's thanking us for streaming, which is cool. But when the clickening actually happens about Liquid Loans, because I saw my parents this weekend, I haven't seen them for a while, and caught up with my mum, and I was explaining to her what I do, and she's like, the word loan in her head, because all she's ever dealt with is banks, had negative connotations. And she's like, so what happens? So Liquid Loans take the people's money when they don't pay their loan. And I explained it to her, how DeFi really works. It's nothing to do with that. There's no centralized authority. And you could see her face change completely, right? Because when people hear loans and liquidations, they just think of, centralization taking people's money, and it's the complete opposite. You collateralize your loan, and then, as Jesse said before, you can take that USDL and do whatever you want. If you like Hex, go and buy Hex. If you want to take it out and buy a car or a house, do that. If you want to buy another digital asset or crypto, do that. It really is up to you. But the difference being, and when the clickening happens, is legacy finance is fractionally reserved, right? If everyone went to the bank now and did a bank run, you couldn't get anything out. Difference with Liquid Loans is the opposite. It's over collateralized. There's always more in the system, collateral than debt. So when people like Cameron get so bullish because they've been in crypto a while and now they're really seeing these DeFi 2.0 systems and protocols that are being built, it's obviously it's mind blowing. Just like for my mum today, when she found out that you don't have to go to the bank and beg to be approved and then have all these stringent repayment terms. It's down to you. As long as you have a wallet and you have the right collateral in there, Pulse, then an internet connection, you can collateralize. And that's what we're looking at now with Pulse Chain coming out. Do you know what a flash crash is? Okay, I think Omega 369 is the guy who was asking about this. A flash crash. How likely, Jesse, is a flash crash likely to happen on Pulse?
Well, there's a couple different types of crashes, and you have to ask yourself, do you consider it a crash or just slippage at the same time? Now, normally what a flash crash would be like on a central exchange where the only price feeds are coming from their own order books. What happens is somebody will end up in some sort of position, we'll say a long position, and the price will move down, move against them, and it'll end up liquidating that person. Okay. Instantly, their position is sold, which further dumps the price, which liquidates the next guy on the list because the price just moved really fast. Liquidates the next guy, liquidates the next guy. And usually there's a stack of people all within the same range, and they all get liquidated all at the same time because it's just really fast. It's like a domino effect. It's called cascading liquidations. Okay. And all these people get wiped out. The central exchange collects all the tokens, just like a casino. They win, the house wins, and then they start the game all over again. Now, this happens for a number of reasons. It happens because of how those liquidations are handled. It also happens because the price feeds are all coming from internal, from the same exact order book instead of from multiple places, right? So you can actually see a big giant red wick on one exchange that you don't see on others, right? So that would be, some people call that a scam wick or a flash crash. And then the thing that triggered this to begin with is how they allow people to leverage, like super over leverage their position, put in $100 and trade with like $10,000, right? So the price moves against them barely at all, liquidates the next guy, and just cascades and cascades. These things are called flash crashes or scam wicks. They happen all the time on central exchanges. They do not happen on the blockchain off of these central exchanges. It's just not possible the way DeFi works and how oracles and price calls are being pulled from multiple places and time-weighted average. You can't, like, even if a whale tried to manipulate a price, you can't manipulate a price down like for 30 minutes. Like, it's impossible. And when you've got like something like liquid loans that is pulling a price feed from multiple places and time weighting average them, like if somebody tried to manipulate a price on one pairing, like they're just giving away their money. Like you could be a whale 1 second and you're trying to hold down the price just to try and liquidate people and stuff, and like you're just giving away all your money because there are bots and other people that look at that cheap price on that pair, and they go, "Ooh, look how cheap it is on this pairing compared to this other pairing over here. Let me buy a whole bunch of this because there's a good arbitrage opportunity," right? So like you just don't see this on like the blockchain. Like it is possible on a central exchange, but this behavior does not happen on the blockchain. Now, to his other point though, low liquidity will cause volatile like slippage, right? And I talk about slippage a lot, how like if you have something that's real low liquidity, like the slippage can be massive. When people buy just a handful of tokens, the price moves a whole bunch compared to if there's a whole crap load of liquidity in a pool, people can buy a whole bunch and the price barely moves at all. Yes, that's true. But there's also like opportunities inside of liquid loans that immediately buy those prices back up to where they're supposed to be. Like, so it's called the redemption feature. So if slippage takes hold, whether it's because of low liquidity or just because some big giant whale tried to dump a big bag of USDL or something, the price moved, USDL went from $1 down to like 95 cents. There's immediately an arbitrage opportunity and a redemption, and people will be buying that price right back up again very, very, very quickly. So look in the white paper on the section where it talks about redemptions, and you can see like how that's handled. And then one last point, those pools are not going to be small. Like we'll start them out. The liquid loans team will kick off those pools, but they're highly incentivized. People get paid loan tokens to add liquidity. And there's also at least 4 or 5 other projects launching on the Pulse chain that have all raised their hand and said they can't wait for USDL to be their primary pairing for their token, right? So you're going to find like USDL is going to be highly liquid. I would not worry about that.
And just to answer this for the last time, Omega 369 is calculated in real time. So it's not done at the end of the day. If your vault drops below 110%, you're up for liquidation. Doesn't matter what time of day it is. So how do you do that? Over collateralize. What is Truth 7 asked, not to sound negative, but I don't hear anyone talking about how ETH 2.0 is coming out. Can we get into the details here and how it would affect Pulse?
Sure. So ETH 2.0 has been talked about for like years now. And to this day, people don't know how it's going to work. Like the mechanics aren't like, does anybody here know how it's going to work? Like, how do you move tens of thousands of miners, just like boot them off the system and flip the switch, and now everyone's running through validator nodes? That's super challenging. It's not being done yet. There's not one single validator running on Ethereum right now. They're all still miners. I think the other challenge is like people don't even understand the basics. Is ETH 2.0 going to be its own coin, or is Ethereum, like the original Ethereum, going to be the coin that runs the chain? Like there's so many unknowns, and they haven't even figured it out yet. Like sometimes you hear, oh, ETH 2.0, it's like 2 months away. And then you hear Vitalik give a little speech and he says, ooh, we're probably 6 years away. Like it's super challenging. You can't, like, I gave an analogy once of imagine having an Atari and playing Pac-Man or something on your Atari. And then mid-game while you're playing, these engineers say, hey, we're going to come in and we're going to convert this into like an Xbox One. And you're going to be playing like an awesome version of this Pac-Man. Mid-game, it's just going to change and everything's going to be awesome. How do you stop or how do you transition a running blockchain with tens of thousands of transactions constantly running? There's people who are being paid staking rewards. There's people who are in all these things that are literally running as we speak, and convert that entire blockchain over to a proof of stake while everything's running without shutting anything down, without causing economic damage to any of the stuff on the chain, without having to roll it back. It's just super challenging. If it happens, great. But it hasn't happened yet. So in the meanwhile, we have some cool stuff like Pulse Chain coming out.
100%. I mean, obviously, it's taken longer than we thought, but it sounds like it's getting closer. Mike says, is LUSD backed by 150% ETH, currently similar to the Liquid Loans protocol?
LUSD is backed by Ethereum. There's 150% average. So the average collateral health stays over 150. Individuals can be underneath that. The total average, I think, is actually like closer to 300%, but it will always maintain a minimum of 150% ETH backing the LUSD. Same thing.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, just going back to what you were saying, Jesse, you also need 32 ETH to stake. This is not for little guys. So, and also people have had to delegate their ETH, and also some of these people have been hacked and they've lost all of it. So there's lots. It's a bit of a shit show over there. So who knows when ETH 2.0 really is going to be ready, right?
Yeah. I mean, not for a long time.
Not for a long time. Cool. Okay, well, it looks like we've got through most of our questions here. Anything else that you want to talk about, Jesse, before we wrap it up?
Yeah, so there's only a week left of the sacrifice phase. Understand that you're not late. You're still very early. And while the rate does go down by 5% every day, you can literally outrun that by locking up your points. So you could still get a better rate than you could coming out on day one just by locking up some points for a number of months, 10 months or a year or 2 years or whatever makes you feel comfortable. And here in about 7 days, that opportunity passes. You'll never have it ever again. You'll have to find some loan tokens on the open market. Good luck. And you can earn them by being a stability provider or a liquidity provider. But who knows what that rate's going to look like. What is known is the rate that you can lock in for yourself now for your points. So just keep that in mind. And in the famous words of Richard Hart, we're always 2 weeks away.
So here we go. Before we get to that, quick one. Hexholder asked, what do you see as a max time will start after Pulse Chain launches? We're looking at about a month, but of course, Pulse Chain needs to launch first. So we can't obviously commit to anything until all of our audits are done, and we've also checked price feeds from PulseX and stuff. So we're looking at around a month, give or take. Jesse, they're calling for it. You know what time it is.
people always love this thing. I was working on something new.
We want to see, man. We're here. We're here for the knowledge on liquid loans, and we're also here for the rock star himself.
For the entertainment.
Exactly.
Who asked for that anyway?
34974 custom. Just tune up. Is it live tuning?
Never selling, no. I'm never letting my pulse go. I'm holding out forever. Yeah, I'm taking a loan. Zero interest, yeah. No keys, oh. Amazing wealth creation in the liquid loan seas. I'm never selling, no. I'm never letting my pulse go. I'm holding out forever. Yeah, I'm taking a loan. Earn in many ways. Such great financial plays. Community earn fees. And no counterparty. I'm never selling, no. I'm never letting my pulse go. I'm holding out forever. Yeah, I'm taking it on. Whoa.
Guys, amazing. Where else do you get knowledge like this? You get someone with Jesse's good looks and the voice. I mean, it's the full package here. Let's also bring this up and just have a look to reiterate what Jesse was saying. We are on day 23 of the sacrifice phase. And as you can see, every day you get a 5% worse rate, but you can claw that back by locking up your tokens for up to 24 months and get a 2.5x bonus multiplier. There's a great saying I think it's a great Chinese saying where part of my ancestry comes from. The best time to do it would have been 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. So, of course, like Jesse said, if you don't get in now, then good luck trying to find some loan token after the launch. But that being said, guys, thank you for watching this stream. If you do like videos like this and you're not a subscriber yet, do hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop new videos. We're pretty much here nearly every single day with so much content for you guys. So do hit the like button, share it up. You can also drop a comment below if you're watching for the algo. It does help us out. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Have a great Sunday, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.